What's going on, guys? Welcome to day 3 of the Summer Shredding 5-Day Challenge. Today, we're going to talk about how winners know their numbers, the best ways to track your progress as you go through your health and fitness journey. Because I see, it's something a lot of people don't know how to do or don't know the best way to do it. Or maybe you have a bunch of metrics that you track and they're not the right ones that really move the needle forward to you. So that's important to define. But I'm on here by myself right now. Nobody hopped on live. So maybe I'll get through this quicker since I won't be interacting as much. But I'm going to try and get through this and keep it concise and just record this so that people can watch the replay when they get a chance. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Cool. So again, winners know their numbers. Day 3. Past 2 days, if you didn't watch day 1 and day 2, or if you weren't on the lives, we spoke the first day about the hierarchy of nutrition for fat loss. So that's pretty much the food pyramid and the way we prioritize our eating habits so that, or at least to help my clients lose fat and build muscle without eating like a bodybuilder. The day after that, we spoke about activity. What's the most bang for your buck? That was yesterday. And that's a simple framework in terms of prioritizing the movement and activity we do for our fitness in a way that allows my clients to, again, lose fat and build muscle without spending more than 3 to 5 hours a week in the gym. All right. So today, knowing your numbers, we know about tracking your food and tracking your workouts. That's what I had people do. But today we're going to be talking about tracking your progress because that's something that gets neglected by a lot of people. Or maybe they're tracking their metrics, but they're tracking the wrong ones. And, that's not going to be great for us here. So it's important to define that and know what we're looking at here so that we can make sure that we're seeing the best progress possible or that we know that we're seeing progress. So if you're watching the replay, go ahead and let me know if you've been doing the challenge so far. What habit stack has been most impactful so far? Maybe it was day 1, posting the pictures in the group, being held accountable, actually having to think twice. Juan said this the other day, like, I don't want to be the guy. Everyone's posting protein shakes and healthier foods and whole foods. I don't want to be the guy that's in the group posting a double cheeseburger and fries, right? Like maybe you were tempted to get that on your lunch break because there was a restaurant nearby, but knowing that you had to post it in the group and not wanting to be that guy, so to speak, it kind of caused you to think twice about it. So maybe it was that. Maybe it was just knowing other people were watching and sometimes that's enough to like make us think twice about our eating decisions. Maybe it was the food tracking. Maybe it was, damn, like I thought I ate pretty clean, but I didn't realize like I snack at night or I snack after work or I eat when I'm bored. And damn, even that healthy food that I was eating, I eat more than I think I do. Right? Sometimes that's enough to get people to think twice. And sometimes just making it inconvenient on yourself where you actually have to take that next step to go out of your way to put something in the app before you eat it. A lot of times that can make people think twice about, do I really want that sleeve of Oreos right now? As opposed to mindlessly eating. So again, the purpose of that is just awareness, especially this early on. Yesterday, I had everybody, or today actually, I had everyone doing 8 to 10K steps and tracking that. Maybe that was the most helpful habit stack for you. Maybe that's something you were neglecting. Maybe you work from home. Maybe you have a sedentary desk job. Maybe you just don't get as many steps as you know you could on a daily basis. And being sedentary is maybe why you're not able to lose the fat and build the muscle the way we want to. So maybe that was the most helpful habit for you guys. So I'm curious to hear from you guys. I know most people said they were struggling with the eating, but I'm curious to hear what has been the most helpful habit stack for you so far. But the main reason we care about this, so we're talking about metrics today, is because what gets measured gets managed. Like I always use this analogy because a lot of the guys I work with are former athletes or they work in sales or have some type of business. Would you run a business off of emotion? Like, would you run a business without knowing your numbers? Would you try to buy a house if you weren't pre-approved or you didn't know your credit score or you just didn't know how much cash you had coming in? You didn't know what your expenses were. Like, of course not. You got to know your numbers before you arrive at that decision. So it's the same thing with your fitness. And when we can be a little more objective about things, I think it makes it a lot easier and a lot more predictable. That way you don't feel like you're spinning your wheels. It keeps us from getting emotional and it allows us to make better decisions and as a coach, it helps me make adjustments for my clients because we know whether or not something is working now. So the consequences, if you don't learn this stuff that I'm talking about today, you may feel like you're constantly working, you're spinning your wheels, you're working your ass off, but you're unsure if you're making progress. So that leads to you being discouraged. Like, for example, you're showing up to the gym 4 days a week and you feel like you look the same. You're eating, you're cutting your carbs, you're doing whatever you're doing diet wise. And you just feel like, damn, my weight's kind of stalled. I don't really know if I'm making progress or I can't tell if I'm making progress. Maybe I am doing the right things. And because I'm not measuring progress the right way, it's discouraging me and convincing me that I'm not. and that makes me not want to show up as well. So sometimes it can help as reinforcement to know, and it's empowering to know whether or not we're making progress, and we got to be honest with ourselves about that. The other consequence of that is maybe you're doing is a plateau. Like maybe you're doing work that stops working and you don't know how to adjust. So that's a common thing I hear from the guys I work with. Like most of the people I work with are not people who've never worked out before or just aren't even working out now and they're on the couch. Like, the answer is, okay, you were doing nothing before. Now we need to do something. And that's probably better than what you were doing. A lot of the guys that reach out to me actually, surprisingly, are guys who are currently doing the work and they feel like they plateaued. They feel like they're spinning their wheels. They're frustrated. I'm in the gym 4 or 5 days a week and I'm working my ass off and I don't know why the scale stopped moving. I don't know why I'm not losing the stubborn belly fat. I don't know why I'm not getting stronger, whatever the case may be. And usually it comes down to them not knowing what metrics to track, how to track them. And then once you have those metrics, knowing how to adjust when something stops working. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. And just like I said before, like having that knowledge and having that insight can be very empowering because it kind of shines the light on your blind spots. Like, like people often think they're not making progress when they are. And it's like if you would have just stuck to what you were doing and had a proper system and a way to track it, then you probably would be further along. You'd be more motivated. You'd be more excited because you know you're making progress. Or you see the scale move in the wrong direction, you got discouraged. And it's like if you knew why that happened, you would commit to the work a little more so that you can keep it going in the right direction. So yeah, plateaus and people who are like doing the work and feeling like they're spinning their wheels is a big one, but usually that comes from like lack of systems in that. So what metrics do we track and why? The first one I always start with, and again, I like these frameworks of like starting with the most important and working our way up. Oh shoot, here we go, Juan. Yeah, I'm trying to let somebody in, but it's like hard to do this while I'm sharing my screen. There we go. What's going on, Juan? So I'm already a couple slides in. I just started recording because no one hopped on. So just a quick recap, and then I'll dive back in. So today we're talking about how winners know their numbers and um, just the proper metrics and how to track them so that you can track progress in your fitness journey. But I wanted to hear from you before we dive in, like what the what was the most impactful habit stack for you as we started this journey, a few days ago? Was it the food tracking? Was it the sending pictures in the group? Was it the step count? Like, what do you feel like was the most impactful for you personally, Juan?
Me was sending the pictures, bro. To be honest, the accountability.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so about to be dark, but yeah, that was like the most impactful for me. That makes me get more conscious of what I need when I'm putting in my body. To be honest,
Mm-hmm.
I think that from today I wasn't on it as far as on the group, but I was still tracking my food or knowing what I was eating. But for
Mm-hmm.
me personally, that taking the pictures and posting it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I use you as an example. I mean, and yeah, I'm already what 5, 10 minutes in, so I could just have you instead of going over everything again, I could just have you watch the beginning once I put up the recording. But
Okay.
yeah, I use you as an example of like just building that awareness of sending the pictures in the group. It kind of makes you
Mhm.
think twice about, damn, I could get what I normally get for lunch, but man, everybody's in there posting protein shakes and salads and stuff like that, and healthier foods. Like I don't want to be that guy. So I think you're
Yeah.
a good example of that, and like how quickly. I don't want to say shame is the right word, but like that, just that pressure, that external pressure from people around you to like kind of change your decision making, and I think there's nothing wrong with that. So good job there. So I'm glad to hear it, bro, and I'm glad to hear
Thank
you're tracking your food as well.
Yes, sir.
The reason we're talking about numbers today, just a quick recap, Juan, is like what gets measured gets managed, and knowing how to measure progress on this journey will keep us from getting so emotional because a lot of times guys feel like they're constantly working hard and they don't know if they're making progress. Like maybe they are, but they just don't realize it because they don't know how to measure progress. So it causes them to get discouraged and give up. I see that a lot of times. And then the second scenario is like sometimes guys are working out 4 or 5 days a week. They're eating right and they feel like they're doing all the right things. And maybe it once worked. Maybe what they were doing was getting them to lose weight and lean out, but then they hit a wall and they're still doing the same work, but they plateaued. And because they're not tracking the right metrics or doing it properly, they don't know how to adjust from that plateau. And that's what, a lot of people I work with are usually at that point. So what metrics do we track and why? The first thing we track, or I have my guys do, is the scale. And I know it's super taboo to say this, but I have my clients weigh in daily or at least 3 times a week. And there's specific reasons for that. Now, most people are going to tell you, oh, it's unhealthy to obsess with the scale weight. And they're right. We don't want to obsess about the number, but that's not the point of why we do this. So I usually have my guys weigh in first thing in the morning on an empty stomach, minimal clothing after going to the bathroom. So, you don't want to be weighing in 7 p.m. at night after you've had your dinner. You don't want to be weighing in the middle of the day with your clothes on, like all these random times, or after you just drank a gallon of water, right? Like you want to do it when you're at your lightest and most consistent weight, and that's going to be first thing in the morning. We usually wake up a little bit dehydrated, and if you go to the bathroom, your minimal clothing, that's going to be more consistent for data purposes. My issue with weighing in weekly or bi-weekly or every, just random and sporadically is it's not enough data points for it to be reliable. So let's say you're 200 pounds, right? You step on the scale on a random Monday. You're 200 pounds that Monday. You do it the following Thursday. So that's like 10 days later. And you may have done the work and actually lost weight, but you present on the scale that day heavier because maybe you didn't have a lot of sleep that night before, or maybe you had a big meal, or maybe you had a lot of sodium and that caused you to hold on to water weight. There's so many factors at play. And that day that you weighed in could have been an outlier. And now you're discouraged because you think, damn, I gained 3 pounds since my last weigh in. And, now you're tripping off that when really if you would have weighed in consistently, you would have realized that you were trending down. That one day that you weighed in that was heavier was just an outlier, and we don't have to stress about it as much. So that's why I'm a big proponent of like weighing in more frequently, even though most people in the health and fitness space are going to tell you that that's unhealthy mentally. So my argument for that is again, lightest, most consistent weigh in. And the goal is not to obsess about the daily fluctuations. That's all normal. We want to look at the trend and the weekly average, not just the individual weigh ins. So if you're doing everything right, you could be 200 pounds today. You could be 199 tomorrow. You could be 202 the next day. You could be 198 the following day. You could be 197 the day after that. And even though your weight was up and down with you doing the same work and doing all the right things, there's a lot of different explanations for that. But we care about the trend. It's like the stock market. It's going to go up and down, but we're really looking for things moving in the right direction over time. And if we zoom out and look at the bigger picture, that's usually what it looks like. Very rarely does someone lose weight and it's just a straight shot every single day? You're losing 0.5 pounds, a pound. It just doesn't work like that. So that's my first argument for it. We want to look at the trend and the weekly average, not just the day-to-day fluctuations. The second reason why I'm a big fan of like weighing in more frequently is it keeps it top of mind for you. Like as silly as it sounds, I think a lot of people don't get to their fitness goals or their goals in general is because it's just not top of mind for them. Like they actually forget that they have the goal or they forget what they're working towards. Like how many times, Juan, maybe you can attest to this. I know I can. Have we set a goal on New Year's and we made a New Year's resolution? Oh, this the year I'm gonna be a billionaire. This is the year I'm gonna lose 50 pounds. This is the
Yes,
year I'm gonna do
sir.
whatever. And you don't achieve the goal, not because you didn't know what to do or you didn't want to work for it, but because it just wasn't important anymore. It wasn't top of mind. You wrote that goal down one time on January 1st, maybe January 3rd. Maybe it took you a couple of days and you never looked at it again. It's not something you like affirm to yourself daily or keep top of mind. So I'm a big proponent of weighing in daily because although we don't want to obsess about the scale, if you make it a routine to get on the scale every morning and just look at the number, then you remember, oh shit, I'm on this health and fitness thing. I think I need to lock in. Especially if you see the number go up. It kind of like shocks you into, oh damn, yeah, maybe I should think twice about like overeating or snacking late at night or whatever I do that's like not aligned with my goals. It just keeps it as a reminder. So that's the second thing, keeps it top of mind. And then the last reason I like to have my guys weigh in more frequently is because it almost desensitizes you to it. So remember what I was saying earlier about a lot of health and fitness professionals will tell you you shouldn't weigh in frequently because it's not good for your mental health and you're just going to get emotional about the scale. And like, I think that's more of a reason to weigh in more frequently. Obviously there's exceptions, but the more you just stand on the scale in the morning and you know that no matter what you do, whether you do the work or not, that number can fluctuate in either direction. You could do everything right and it can go down tomorrow or it could go up tomorrow. And the more you see that and realize that everything's okay, it almost normalizes it in your mind. Like, I don't think we need to protect you guys from that. I think we need to lean into that and understand why the scale moves in the wrong direction sometimes. And it's just a data point. It just gets you to the point where it's like a part of your day. I step on the scale in the morning. I don't care what it says. I have other ways to look at progress. It's just a data point to know whether or not we're on the right path. We're looking at the trend, not the fluctuations. And the more you can do that, the more it doesn't affect you mentally. It doesn't make you all emotional, like, damn, why did I get, you don't get frustrated about gaining 2 pounds when you ate right yesterday. It still happens from time to time, but I've noticed with the guys that I work with long term, the more I have them do that, the more they understand, okay, the scale is just a scale, it's just a data point, it's just a number at the end of the day. It's not the end all be all. And kind of exposing, it's like shock therapy, right? Like exposing to that on a
Yeah.
daily basis kind of reaffirms that, especially if the other markers that I'm talking about today are moving in the right direction. And um, the fluctuations are going to be normal. Like I said, like you could do everything right today. You could eat the right amount of calories. You can get your 10,000 steps. You could work out, drink a gallon of water. You can do all the right things that I would ask someone to do. And your weight could be heavier tomorrow for reasons that, beyond your explanation. Like you could be stressed out, stress and cortisol is going to make you hold more water weight. You could have eat a healthy meal, but maybe you had more sodium than you usually do. That made you hold on to water. Maybe you had more carbs than usual. That makes you hold on to water. Lack of sleep, that caused you to be a little bit heavier temporarily. So all these things go into it, and it's not, maybe you had a big meal and it's just sitting in your gut. You haven't passed it through yet, and that's why we're heavier. So, Juan, maybe, I'd love to hear from you on this. Like, how many times have you maybe weighed in and you thought you were doing the right things in your health and fitness journey, and you got freaked out by what the scale said because, damn, how did I do everything right and go up 3 pounds? Like, would you say that's ever happened to you?
No, yeah, and it's funny how you say that, and that makes sense as far as like doing it the first thing in the morning or whatnot, where something's consistent
Hmm.
versus where how to get through the day or through the week, whatnot, different times. And I'd be like, and I'd look at the scale like, man, what did I do? I thought I did good, and it's I weigh more than I did the day before.
Hmm.
Or what have you. So that kind of makes sense, right? To what you're saying, because it's not, either I haven't used a washroom or a lot of intake water that and fluctuating. I'm like, man, what I thought I'm doing it right and it's going up. But yeah, I like that. I whole concept. I
Yes.
like that.
Mhm. Thanks for the sharing. Like, how would you say that that affected your behavior and made you feel after you felt like you were doing everything right or thought you were doing everything right and then stepped on the scale and it was heavier? Like, did that affect you at all?
Well, yeah, because I'd be like, okay, I mean, I'll be upset, of course, like, man, like, and then discouragement a little bit because it's not, because I'm like, man, like, I'm doing this and it's not, um, ain't working, if you will, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, for me, like, I get like a little bummed, like, come on, you know,
Yep.
and then
Yeah, like, go
and then
ahead. My
figure
bad.
out try to figure out if I'm eating too late or whatever. But I saw discouragement is for sure.
Mhm. Yeah, like, yeah, exactly. You try to reverse engineer it. Like, all right, what did I do yesterday that made the scale go up? Maybe I should just not do that. And then you play this whole rat race game of trying to cancel out behaviors. But yeah, I mean, getting discouraged, you said it here. It's like that's self-sabotage at its finest. You could have been doing all the right things. And it's like, damn, because I don't know why the scale moved, that caused me to think that what I'm doing isn't working. So now I want to stop doing the work, right? But if we can just know where the number, like the problem isn't that the scale goes up, like we just want to know why and where it's coming from. And if we just understand the bigger picture, it's a normal part of the process. So we just got to commit to doing it. So yeah, that's a good feedback from you, man, because I'm sure that happens to people a lot where they're like
Hmm.
all the right stuff, scale moves the wrong direction, and they're like, fuck, this isn't working. So so scale was the first thing. The second metric that we track, and the reason we do it is body measurements. So I'm a big fan of this, weekly or bi-weekly. It's a little tedious to do. We don't need to do it every day or anything crazy like that. And when I say body measurements, I mean like, you get fitted for a tux or something like that. You got a wedding to go to,
Yeah.
they do the chest and that, they take the tape. Like that's what I'm talking about. And when we do the body measurements, we don't need to do everything. You don't need to do your forearms and your calves or your neck unless you're like a bodybuilder, right? You could get by just doing your waist, your arms, and your legs, like the vitals. If you want to do your chest, fine, cool, right? But um, the reason we do this is because it tells a little bit more of the story, right? I've seen instances, and I'm working with a couple guys right now where it's like, yeah, maybe they had a goal to lose 20 pounds in set amount of time. They're not losing any weight. And if they only looked at the scale weight as their only method of progress or only marker of progress, they would be discouraged in thinking that they weren't seeing progress. But the body measurements tells a little bit more of the story because if that same person who is stuck at 200 pounds, for example, if their waist got smaller and their legs and arms got bigger, what that tells me is they probably gained muscle while losing fat. And that's a recomposition. And in a perfect world, that's kind of what we want. Most people want to put on muscle and lose fat, right? So if if we're filling out our clothes differently and we're moving in the right direction with the body measurements, are we really mad that we didn't lose weight? Probably not. Like most people care about how they look and feel more than the number itself. So it's just another marker to let us know whether or not we're making progress. And the other reason for it is like if the scale is not moving, I could look at that and want to make an adjustment, but I'm gonna hold off if I see that the body measurements are moving in the right direction. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh well, yeah, the scale doesn't show progress, but yo, your clothes are fitting differently, right? Like you look more,
Yeah.
your waist got smaller, things like that. I'm like, oh, well, we should just keep doing what we're doing. Sometimes things aren't broken, so we don't need to fix them. So, and there, there's a multitude of reasons why the scale may not be moving, but this just tells a little bit more of the story. And if you're somebody who doesn't want to go through the trouble of like, you know, measuring your waist and doing that every week or every other week. I think clothes fitting differently is a really good marker. It's very similar, right? Like your clothes are gonna, your pants are gonna fit looser. You may be able to fit into an old pair of jeans without having to button them as tight, or maybe you do a different belt loop. Things like that. Shirts are a little bit looser, or maybe they're filling out in certain areas. Like I've noticed that too. So on a weight loss or recomp type of journey, that's going to be reliable as well. And then the last thing that we do is pictures. So
Yeah.
this is the one that people are like, I don't want to do that, or maybe post it on social media, right? But sometimes it's tough to like want to do it because people don't want to see the before picture sometimes. Like I've seen so many instances, or maybe you've talked to people like this, Juan, where it's like, damn, I didn't realize it was that bad until I looked at an old family picture or a picture of us on the beach or at this such and such location, right? Because when you see yourself every day, you may not think much of it, and then you see a picture and you're like, damn, like it's a little more objective, and it's like, damn, I didn't realize it was that bad, or I needed to do something until I saw that picture. And sometimes that's the breaking point of when I talk to a lot of guys, they're saying stuff like that. But the reason we want to do it, and I say we do it monthly, we don't need to do it more than that because you may not notice much change on a week to week basis. I'd do front, back, and side, just because that's kind of see everything there. But the reason we do that again is because it tells a little bit more of the story. I think it's going to be more objective than your coworker seeing you looking at yourself in the mirror. Your mind's going to play tricks on you, maybe seeing your wife or whoever, right? Your kids, like the people that
Yeah.
see you every day, they may not notice the progress and you may not notice the progress because you see yourself every day. But even if the progress is small, looking at a picture 4 weeks apart can keep you going in those times. It's like, damn, I feel like I look the same. But then it's like you really look at a picture a month or two apart, you'll notice, damn, I got a little more arm definition here. Oh, my waist got a little bit smaller. And sometimes that's enough to make you think, like, damn, this shit is actually working. And maybe it takes a little while to see the progress, but when you're just looking in the mirror and the changes are small day to day, week to week, month to month, you're not going to notice that the same way you would if you just looked at your day one picture and your day 30.
Yeah.
So again, it's just like a more objective way than of looking at things than just doing the mirror. And again, we pair this with the body measurements and the scale. Now we're kind of seeing the full picture.
Mm.
So some bonus markers, like those are the three I always have people do, but the bonus markers, bonus things we can track. We can do something called an in-body scan. So I'm not sure if you've ever heard of that, but it's like you can go to like Vitamin Shop or maybe the doctors have it now, or all these fancy clinics have it. And all you do is like a special scale where you stand on it and you hold these little wands, and it doesn't just tell you your body weight, it tells you like how much water is in your body, what's your BMI is, your body fat percentage, your skeletal muscle mass, and then they plot it on a graph, and then you go back in a month or 2 months or whenever, and then it'll compare the data. So you'll know like, damn, did I lose muscle or did I lose fat this month and gain muscle? Like you can kind of like see the metrics from there. So it's a little more advanced if you have that near you. It's a pretty cool thing that can help you track progress. Oh, my bad. You were gonna say something?
No, no, no. I said no. I'm not. No, I just mentioned. I said that was nice. Yeah, no, I never done that, but
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
to see what's around.
Yeah, it's cool to do it. Like the people that are the biggest fans of that I've worked with are the guys who like really care about like, all right, when I'm losing fat, I don't want to get skinny. I just want to like put on muscle while I'm doing it. Or they're like really paying attention to that. It's just helpful metrics. So they have like a specific body fat in mind. They're like, hey, I want to get to 13% or 12% or sub 10, whatever, right? That's usually it's good for people like that. And if all else fails, we got the field test. I
Mm.
don't like only relying on this, but it does tell us more of the bigger picture. It's like, I know everybody's got their cool body composition goals, but at the end of the day, all of us want to live longer, be more flexible, be more mobile, be able to like live a healthy lifestyle, like be able to do things without getting winded. Like those are all things that being able to play with your kids and see them graduate and having the longevity and all like the intangible stuff. So the field test is, even if none of that's going right or it's going slow, well, are we getting stronger in the gym? Are you pushing more weight? Do you feel more stronger? Are you picking your kids up no problem? Like when you didn't used to be able to do that before? Do you feel like you have more endurance? Are you able to chase the kids around and like not get out of breath or go up the stairs without getting out of breath like maybe you used to, right? Like these are just some of the things I hear over time of like even 3 to 4 weeks, people are saying stuff like that. Do you feel like your sleep is better? Do you feel like you have better energy? You're in a better mood? Like this is all good stuff. Do you think you look better? Like, do you look in the mirror and you see, okay, I know it kind of contradicts what I was saying with the pictures, but sometimes, I notice my clothes are fitting a little bit better, right? Like, I think that's valid. And sometimes everything but the scale moves. And we don't want to put too much. That's why I'm saying, like, we have all these things to look at. And it's like sometimes we don't want to put too much stock on the scale. So that's other things we can look at. And then lastly, I'll end on this is the 2 week rule. So now that we know what metrics to track, this is how I make adjustments because very rare is it like I give someone a plan or I tell you, hey, this is how much you have to eat and these are the workouts you do, and then it works until the end of time. Like usually you're gonna hit a point where it like works for however many months. Like everybody's different, but it's like you keep doing the same pattern for 3 months and you're losing a pound a week and everything's slow and steady and consistent. Then you may hit a point where you kind of stall out, right? And then it's like, okay, we got to know what adjustments to make, if any, to make sure that we're doing the right things. And this is kind of what I was talking about before with plateaus. Guys get frustrated when the plan stops working, or maybe they change things up prematurely because they weren't tracking their metrics properly. So the 2 week rule is kind of like how my little checklist I go through before I make adjustments for somebody. So Juan, let's take you for example. Let's say you're doing a plan and it's working for 3 months and then it stops working. The first thing I'm going to look at before anything is make sure you're actually following the plan. Let's address that adherence firstly. So like if you're eating 2,000 calories and doing 3 workouts a week, well, Juan, when you go in the gym, are you actually training hard or are you just going through the motions? When you say you're eating 2,000 calories, is that only 3, 4 days a week and you slacking off on the weekends, or is that every day? When you say you're doing 2,000 calories in the app, is that accurate or is that 2,000 really 2,500 calories, right? Are there things that aren't making the app? Are you logging less food than actually is on your plate? Those things like those are the boxes we got to
Yeah,
check. And I need to make sure that you're doing your part first before I can make an adjustment on my end. Because if you're not following the plan I put on there, we can't say the plan doesn't work.
yeah.
You gotta meet me halfway, right? So once we've addressed that, all right, Dallas, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to. I'm doing the workouts, how you're saying, and I'm doing everything like to the T, right? Or at least 80, 90%, right? Like, just being reasonable. Now we follow it for 2 weeks and give it time to work because just because, like I said earlier, just because you followed the right plan for 3 days doesn't mean like everything's all fine and dandy. Like you've got to give it enough time to like really level out and make sure that things are moving in the right direction because we don't have enough data points. So if I give it 2 weeks, you're doing everything, you're following the plan for 2 weeks, and nothing's moving in the right direction. I'm talking like everything feels the same. You just feel like you're kind of stagnant. You don't feel so great. Scale isn't moving. Then I'll make the adjustment because I know that you're doing everything on your end to make this happen, and I know it makes things easier. If you're doing everything you got to do and you're not seeing progress, then I know that's my fault. I just got to tweak your strategy. Okay, maybe we bump you down 150 calories a day, and that usually gets things moving. But at least the one constant is you showing up and doing what you're supposed to. So I think that's good because when there's too many moving parts, it's like guys are making all these aggressive adjustments, and it's like, well, the person's not even sticking to the original plan, so we don't know if that's the issue. We got to isolate the variable. So I think that keeps us from making hasty decisions in our process. Like I'd rather make less adjustments than more. And the way we do that is like knowing what metrics to track and doing them consistently. So, because I see guys overreacting where it's like they follow a plan and then in your example earlier, it's like you could have done everything right and you gained 3 pounds. Then people start panicking and they're like, oh, well, fuck, I got to drop my calories in half and I got to cut all my carbs because I moved in the wrong direction. They panic and they freak out. Well, dude, you didn't even do it for 2 weeks. You know what I mean? Like, or, you didn't do the plan as well as you thought you would. So that's why I think like this is so important. It's just like the process we want to follow to make things happen. So in closing, I know that was a little rambly, but Juan, what are some like takeaways from that big section or everything with the metrics? Any questions you have?
Um, no questions. Well, no questions I can think. The metrics, I mean, it's good, right? Being consistent is key as what I'm getting from here.
Hmm.
And then looking at it could be a good or bad, but if you look at the good part,
Mm-hmm.
doing checking your weight on the daily right before in the morning. You build that like consistency and accountability. Again, documenting the picture. Once you send a picture, that's it, right? Like it's like official, right? So
Mm-hmm.
having that accountability, right? And then just making sure right? You are truthful to it, right? Like you said, like, hey, if it's not working, let's check it out. Were there some items that didn't make the app? I thought it so funny.
Yeah,
Um,
right. Because you don't. Go ahead.
that was hilarious, bro.
Yeah, thanks.
Like what? So they didn't make the app, but again, it's just that shows your involvement in myself or the person winning, right? Like, okay, let's check it out. Let's dissect it and see where the issue might lie.
Mhm.
Um, no, yeah, and I'm a numbers guy. I love numbers, metrics, and so
Yeah.
this is it, right? The numbers don't lie, right? And so, story tells, right? If people tell, or I mean, people lie. Stories, numbers don't lie.
Mm-hmm.
And so, this is it. This is my favorite actually slide right now. I mean, my favorite section is the metrics.
Yeah. No,
Um,
I'm glad to hear it.
it points, it tells a story, right? And so, if you're doing everything consistent, and then you should see some kind of change.
Exactly. It's like, yeah, a couple things you said stood out, Juan. It's like num number one, like the consistency is key. Like you have nothing to lose being consistent because even if you're consistent and the work is not working, then we know it's a strategy issue. Okay, you're just doing the wrong stuff. Or maybe you're doing the right stuff, but like the wrong quantities. Okay, let's bump your calories down. Let's add this. Let's add a little cardio in. That's fine. But like if you're not even doing that first part, none of this stuff matters. So the fact that like that resonates with you is a huge thing. And then like, yeah, the being honest in the app thing is huge too, because it's like I deal with that a lot as a coach. It's like sometimes people think they're pulling one over. They're like scared to be honest because they think they're going to be judged or shamed. It's like, well, dude, if you're not honest, like you're not helping anybody. You're not helping yourself. Like not leaving stuff out the app and not telling the whole story. Only one suffering is you. Because I'm gonna just look at it and say, like, I know what questions to ask, but it's like, all right, well, I'm gonna just look at it and assume you're following the plan. And then when I drop your calories, you're gonna be mad because, but in actuality, you were eating more than you said you were. So it's like, that's why all the number, like you said, the numbers are going to even out. The metrics are important. It's just about being consistent. So, yeah, any other big takeaways or questions there?
Uh, no other takeaways again. I'm for that. The pictures, accountability, you'll see it. And it's funny, like, even though that the numbers you said, like, those scale doesn't move, your body might move, right? So the weight might be shifting, right? So it's less on your waist and it's more on your shoulder blades or something like that, right? So
Mm-hmm.
even though the scale the same, it's moving somewhere. So that's another thing too, right? Because don't want to be gun ho on the weight on the scale, and your body actually is sculpting, if you will.
Right.
And so, and you lose that sight, right? So it's good to have, like you said, the measurements, right? Because, all right, let's check out your arm, let's check out your waist,
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. So it should be somewhere else. Like, again, trying to figure out why the number is not moving and whatever. And, because your waist is getting better, whatever, and it's probably muscle or whatever. But yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Like people, like you said, people get so gun ho on the weight that they obsess about that at the expense of everything else. And it's like they lose sight of the whole purpose. Like the goal wasn't to get to 180. The goal was to like look better, feel better. And 180 can be a metric that'll get you there, but it's like, and it's a good target. But it's like if we're just doing whatever we got to do to make the number go down, we're starving ourselves and we're doing all this drastic stuff and we're obsessing about that. Now that's not good, right? Because there's other things we can look at too. So yeah. Yeah, man. Like I think you're getting that concept well. Like just it's more than just the scale, man. Like the scale is important, and I think it's a great tool, but that's all it is, just a tool to help us know if we're making progress. So, Juan, I know you've like said you've benefited from the accountability. Other guys in the group can probably attest. Anybody watching the replay, just want to put this out there. So I think as we're kind of learning this challenge, implementing a system long term with accountability and having a community, having people you can lean on, having that guidance is going to be one of the keys to success long term as you're doing this stuff on your own. So I would like to invite anyone who's interested, not holding a gun to anyone's head to do this, but if you would like to learn more information about, my front end program and how I'm helping guys lose weight and build muscle in a way that's sustainable without spending 3 hours a day in the gym or, eating like a bodybuilder or anything like that, just comment info below or just reach out to me privately and we can have a conversation to just see if it would be a good fit or if you just like some more information on that. Because, I hate to see guys like, doing this for a while and then it's like, okay, that was cool. And like, Now you either don't know what to do next, or you just like maybe you do know what to do and you're just having trouble like following through on that. So would like to invite anyone who's interested in that or learning more about that to, have a conversation. But aside from that, like the action items for today would be we're stacking. We're not just doing one thing new every day. We're stacking. So day one, we're still taking pictures of the food for the Discord group. We're still tracking our food in MyFitnessPal, and hopefully, as we're going on, maybe we're learning more about our eating habits. We're getting better at it. We're learning the apps more. Um, we're hitting our 8 to 10K steps a day. By the way, how'd you do on that one? Did you? I know you said you had some stuff going on, and you're working from home, so you weren't able to.
Yeah, so I wasn't able to do that. I was gonna go to the office today, but I didn't. So I failed, and then I had my grandbabies came over, so I couldn't walk today.
You
So I
got,
was watching.
bro. You look too young for grandkids, man. That's got
Yeah. Yeah, I will. They're 3 months. My daughter's
you.
19. I'll be 41 in July, bro. I'm old.
Oh, grandkids at 41 is crazy, man. Damn,
Yes, sir. Well, wait,
damn.
when you're in a Hispanic house.
Oh, don't do that. Stop.
That's kidding.
Nah,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. She had twins, bro. Her first twins, a boy and a girl.
Oh man, twins, bro. That's
19.
damn. How's she holding it? Because she's young. Like how's she
She's all right. She lives with her. She lives
doing
with
as a
her.
mom?
She's stressing a little bit, but she's good. I mean, she's as good as she can be. She can do. She lives with the boyfriend. What have you? So, yeah, she's starting to do. That's why she dropped them off today because she was doing DoorDash.
Mm-hmm.
Because she has to get some kind of income. But yeah,
Of course.
she's all right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, if she's 19, that means you were what? How old? So I guess, man, I'm not.
21.
You were young too, and it's like I talked to a lot of people who were like young parents, and they're like, I almost feel like I was growing up with the kid.
Yeah, no,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah. I was 21 because she'll be 20 in December this year. So I was 21 when she was born.
Damn, bro. Damn, Grandpa 41, man. That might be a record, yeah. But
For your circle, bro. For your circle. My mom was a grandma at 36, I think.
nah, bro, that don't make nah.
It is when you're Latino, you're Puerto Rican, bro. You pop out early, though. No, but yeah, that's crazy, bro. I think my mom was like at 36. My mom was a grandma. My sister,
36? Nah, bro.
yeah, my, that's crazy. Yeah,
That
I
shit
think my
sounds
sister
nuts.
had 16 or something like that.
At that
Yeah,
rate, you a great great grandma at 54 or something like that. Imagine
that.
that. Or great
No,
grand.
yeah, that. Yeah, right now, yeah. My mom she has one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight grand, eight great grandkids, and she's 54.
Holy shit, bro. That's insane.
Yeah, it's crazy, bro.
36, I've never heard that though. Yeah, I know you're saying my circle. Look, I've gone to high school with people who got pregnant at 13, 14. I have friends who like, yeah, my mom was 16 when she had me, especially like back in the day, like certain things were
Yeah, yeah.
normalized. And I've heard of some young things where like kids my age, their parents are like 40, late 40s, right? But because I'm about to be 30. And it's like, damn, 36 though. I never heard that.
I'm sorry, I lied. 34.
34. Nah, man. There's no
Yeah,
way.
because my niece was born in 1995.
That's crazy. 34. Wow.
Yeah,
That's definitely the lowest I've heard for a grandma.
for a grandma. Yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah, I think you told me that before when we were messaging. You're like, yeah, I have grandkids. I'm like, grandkid? Like, I was confused. I'm like, nah,
You're
bro.
like, what? Oh yeah, they're 3 months. Yeah, so she came in today to drop them off because she started to do DoorDash. So my wife and I was watching them, and so my wife left, so I was with them for a little bit.
Okay, so I guess tying it back into this, that's why we weren't able to do the
The steps, yeah, I'm barely hitting 1,000. So I'm gonna see tonight. I do have my little dog. I'm gonna see if I can kind of walk around the block. And it was raining early here in Chicago. It was a crazy storm.
mhm.
Um, but yeah, I'm gonna see if I can at least hit like 1,500, another 500, to two by
Yeah.
the end of the do some.
Yeah, dude, just because you're behind doesn't mean give up. Like at least get close to the target as you can because these little wins like stack up over time. And when we look at the weekly average, you're getting damn near 50K steps a week. Even if you're under one day, it's like you're doing it's an
Yeah,
improvement for what we're doing, and that's really all we're looking at here. And the other thing I like too is like having a dog is such a hack for this type of thing because you have to walk it. Like you can't not walk the dog. So it's just like
yeah.
a built-in way to get steps, as I always say. So let's make sure we're on top of that and we do it tomorrow. And then yo, keep doing this every day and it like becomes a part of I guess it's just a part of your life and just becomes normalized. Like, all right, now you don't have to think about it as hard. You have your system for how you like to get steps in.
Yeah.
So as long as you guys know what to focus on, I think that's always the most important thing. Because there's a lot of fitness information out there that makes sense and it sounds good and it could be good, but it's not the most important thing that's going to drive progress for you guys based on your goals. And that's why we're keeping it simple. I'm like, dude, just track your food, just get your steps in. We'll talk about more stuff as we go throughout the week, but and then doing the workouts and things like that. But it's simple stuff. I don't want you guys focused on supplements and meal timing and all this fancy stuff. Like, this is really where the money is, and this is the most bang for your buck right now. But so that's the last habit I was gonna add. So that's stuff we've already been doing. I would say if you're watching this live or on the replay, get your starting weight for tomorrow, and we can kind of keep that going throughout the rest of the week. So step on the scale tomorrow if you have one. Like I said, minimal clothing, first thing in the morning after you go into the bathroom, just to have that starting point. And again, we're not judging ourselves for where we're at or where we're not, or if the scale moved from the beginning of the week or not. It's just a data point and getting used to that kind of thing. So yeah, maybe Friday, Saturday, you keep doing these habits, you might be down 2 pounds. And sometimes that happens in the beginning because people are losing water weight. They're more intentional about their eating habits. Like that first 5 pounds usually comes pretty quick for a lot of people. So that's a good way to start with some momentum, I think. And then tomorrow, we're going to focus on the keys to winning more long term with your health beyond the 5 days. And that's more going to be not going to be as like tactical as everything I've talked about this week. That's going to be more like mindset stuff, like how you want to think about this process and just things to look out for. So look forward to having y'all on that. Juan, before we wrap, you got any last minute questions?
No questions. I'm continuing to update my pictures, my app, get these steps in, and then I'll do that weight in the morning right before get that morning weight.
All right. Sounds good, my man. Let's get it
Thank
done.
you, sir.
You let me know if you need anything, but I'll follow up with all you guys after this. And I'm gonna post this in the group once
All right, thank you, sir.
yeah,
Have a
once
good night.
everything's uploaded. All right, Juan. I'll talk to you, bro.
All right, man, have a good one.